Most amazing sculptures. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we'll be taking you through some of the most amazing sculptures in the world. But first, pause the video ahead over to the subscribe button, tap on it, and tap on the little bell next to it. Certainly, you must have noticed that almost every city has its own creative statues or sculptures, which are made out of metals, woods, stones, and all other sorts of materials. It's quite the norm that city squares, streets, and even parks be filled with some famous and stunning sculptures, which are eye-catching, fully majestic, and sometimes far beyond ordinary. While some see sculpturing as a way of worshiping gods, in which they believe, some see it only as a refined way of telling a special story about our existence in life. Sculptures represent our artistic nature and are used to decorate the surroundings. Sculptures, which later turned into classical arts, represent an idea made from any absolutely imaginable materials, which are used to appreciate, show respect, recall, mark, and celebrate famous people. Sculptures not only entertain the onlookers, the artists made them in order to express their inner mind desire through an experiment with different materials and forms. Now, you might want to save some trips across the world, so we've put together a list of the most famous, great, and amazing sculptures from around the world. The collection of some of these sculptures put together are old and modern art, which are all inspiring and super creative. So, sit back, giving your full attention as we explore the world of sculptures. Expansion by Paige Bradley. This piece of art was done by Paige Bradley in Manhattan, in New York in the early 2000s, and the sculpture took her months to complete. It is a unique piece of art whose meaning could be interpreted in so many ways. This Paige Bradley expansion sculpture will captivate your heart by the beauty, harmony, adaptation, bravery, and the great combination of messages and mediums. The sculpture by Paige Bradley is a sculpture of a woman meditating in lotus position with her body being cracked, revealing an inner light. The title of the sculpture is Expansion, which passes a message across to us saying, don't be afraid to expand beyond your body and social structures. We need to express our inner self and emotions and crack open our rigid structures sometimes when the right time comes. According to Paige, she said, and I quote, "From the moment we were born, the world tends to have a container already built for us to fit inside. A social security number, a gender, a race, a profession, or an IQ. Paige pondered if we are defined by the container we are in, rather than what we are inside. Would we recognize ourselves if we could expand beyond our bodies? Would we still be able to exist if we were authentically uncontained?" The sculpture explores the relationship between body and mind, an ancient and also an important philosophical problem. The expansion sculpture was a clay sculpture that lost its favor in the contemporary art world in recent years. The clay sculpture shattered, and she recasted it again using bronze and put the shadows of the old sculpture on top of it and made an inner lighting glow through the cracks with the help of a light scientist. Metamorphosis by David Kearney. Metamorphosis is a dynamic, giant, kinetic sculpture of a human head of 30 feet high. It's located at the main front of the business center called Whitehall in Charlotte, North Carolina, where it sits in a large reflecting pool. This was the first permanent public construction in the USA by David Kearney, a Czech sculpturist. The sculpture is made of several rotating metal plates that allow it to rotate at 360 degrees that form a three-dimensional human head that brings out water from its mouth into a large fountain base. The giant head could rotate as a whole, as well as the plates can also rotate independently, turning the head into an abstract moving shape which captivates the heart. David used 14 tons of polished stainless steel to produce this sculpture. He also uses a special computer program to operate the motion of every plate. And the author himself could watch over the sculpture from the internet and can make any changes necessary in its motion. There is a live camera that allows allows everyone to watch a 24-hour transmission of the head on the website. Mustangs by Robert Glenn. The Mustangs of Las Colinas, a breathtakingly realistic bronze sculpture by Robert Glenn, is a sculpture that portrays a group of 9 wild Mustangs at 1.5 times life-size galloping across the granite stream that gives the effect of water being splashed by the animals, which decorate Williams Square in Las Colinas in Irving, Texas. The Mustang sculpture was commissioned in 1976 and was installed in 1984. The Mustangs of Las Colinas Museum is located adjacent to the sculpture, which is in the east building of the tower at Williams Square. The Mustang sculpture is a must-see for residences and also visitors. Freedom by Zenos Frudakis. The Freedom sculpture is a handsome bronze sculpture by artist Zenos Frudakis, an American with a Greek root. The sculpture is a quarter of the figure located in GSK headquarters in Philadelphia. Frudakis said that sculptures were created from a personal situation, but he doesn't say what the situation was. The Freedom sculpture is about the struggle for the achievement of freedom through the creative process, which represents the universal desire to break free and internal struggle or an argumentative circumstance. The first Freedom sculpture is relatively unformed. It is in the position of mummy-like death who is held captive by the society and the circumstances around the society. The second figure represents the beginning of a process of moving out and liberation. The third figure represents the force put by a person stepping out of the wall towards reaching his freedom to ultimate victory. Victory is clearly shown by the final figure who is completely joyous, enthusiastic, and free from his own mortality. The Freedom sculpture is 20 feet long and 8 feet high. It was finished on June 18, 2001 and weighed 7,000 pounds. Juodasis Vaiduoklis, the Black Ghost. The sculpture was founded by the Teutonic king in the early 7th century. The sculpture has been known for terrifying children since 2010. Juodasis Vaiduoklis, known as the Black Ghost of Lithuania, is a bronze sculpture done by Svahūnas Žukurus and Sergejus Plotnikovas. The sculpture is 7.8 feet in height as the ghost holds a lantern in one hand with an empty hooded robe without any facial features, and his long fingers grip the dock. The Black Ghost is located near Klaipėda Castle after the swing bridge near the Old Mill Hotel. At night, the sculpture is illuminated internally with a green light that makes it more creepy than normal. Raindrop by Nazar Belik. Nazar Belik, Ukraine artist, created a 6 feet tall bronze and glass sculpture called Rain. It is a symbol of man's communication with nature and a dialogue between the human race and the world around it. This is a bronze sculpture of a man looking upward with a giant glass positioned on his face, which represents a calm communion happening between the solitary figure and the droplet. The sculpture can be interpreted in many ways. The primary meaning, according to Belik, is the relationship between man and the elements. The raindrop is a symbol of a dialogue that connects man with a whole diversity of life forms. The sculpture is concerned with the question of interaction and difficulties in the coexistence of man with his environment. Ukraine gets hot in summer and cold in winter, but whatever season it may be, it is always raining on this sculpture, which can be found in Pesasna Alley at Kiev Fashion Park. The Force of Nature by Lorenzo Quinn. This is yet another famous and incredible sculpture series named The Force of Nature by an Italian artist called Lorenzo Quinn. The Force of Nature is made from stainless, bronze, aluminum, and steel. The sculpture is full of energy and life. even as Mother Nature is hurtling the planets around in a circle. The symbolic, furious, and powerful image that seeks to remind us of the power of nature and what Quinn, the maker, described as our false sense of security that humans could be awakened to fury at any moment. And according to Quinn, the force of nature could be early statues made as peace offerings to the gods in the hope of quenching their anger. These sculptures have served as a major tourist attraction in the region wherever they are located. There are plenty of other things to learn and explore around them. They are one of those things you must ensure to include on your bucket list for the year. So go with your loved ones to see any of these amazing sculptures. But before you do that, if you enjoyed watching the video, then please be sure to give it a thumbs up, become a member of the channel, and watch out for the next video.